Before there was a man called the Buddha, there was a world filled with questions, a world searching for meaning, yet trapped between wealth and suffering, order and chaos. A world where people were born, lived, aged, and died, without ever truly understanding why. Long before the rise of great empires, long before modern civilization, a quiet revolution of the human spirit was about to begin, not with armies, not with conquest, not with kings or crowns, but with awareness, with observation, with one man's awakening. More than 2,500 years ago, the world looked very different from the one we know today. In the foothills of the Himalayas, where fertile plains met dense forests and winding rivers, small kingdoms rose and fell with the rhythm of nature. One of these kingdoms was called Kapilavastu. It stood on the borderlands of what is now modern-day Nepal and northern India, a land shaped by monsoons, rivers, and ancient traditions. The soil was rich. The air was heavy with the scent of jasmine, earth, and incense. Trade routes passed nearby, carrying spices, silk, and stories from distant lands. Yet for most people, life was simple, harsh, and uncertain. India at that time was not a single nation. It was a mosaic of kingdoms, tribes, and clans, each ruled by local kings and noble families. Power was inherited. Status was fixed at birth. Society was divided by the caste system, an invisible structure that defined every aspect of life. Priests stood at the top, warriors and rulers beneath them. Merchants followed, and at the bottom, servants and laborers, bound to lives of hardship. To be born into a caste was to inherit a destiny. Few could escape it. Most never questioned it. Religion shaped everything. The dominant belief system was Brahmanism, an early form of what would later become Hinduism. Priests performed elaborate rituals. Sacrifices were offered to unseen gods. Chants echoed through temples, promising favor in this life or the next. But religion was not about inner peace. It was about control, about appeasing forces people did not understand, about surviving an endless cycle of rebirth. At the center of these beliefs was karma, the idea that every action carried consequences, not only now, but across lifetimes. To suffer was often seen as the result of past actions. To be poor was destiny. To be rich was merit. And liberation from suffering felt distant, reserved for priests and ascetics. For ordinary people, life was governed by fear. Fear of sickness, fear of aging, fear of death, fear of being reborn into even greater suffering. Yet beneath the surface of tradition, something was beginning to shift. Far from royal courts and temple halls, new voices were emerging. Wandering seekers, renunciates, men who abandoned their homes, possessions, and social roles. They were called shramanas. They questioned everything. They rejected ritual without understanding. They walked into forests and sat beneath trees, searching not for divine favor, but for truth. They asked dangerous questions. Why do we suffer? Why are we born only to grow old and die? Is there an end to this cycle? This was an age of spiritual tension, an age of experimentation, an age where humanity was ready to look inward. And it was into this restless world that a child was born. A child raised in luxury, a child shielded from pain, a child destined to question everything he was taught. His name was Siddhartha Gautama, a prince by birth, a seeker by fate. And though no one yet knew it, his life would quietly reshape the way humanity understood suffering, consciousness, and freedom. In that ancient world, birth was never just a beginning. It was a continuation, a moment shaped by countless lives before it. To be born was not considered a blessing, it was a responsibility, a burden. Because birth meant suffering would follow, aging, sickness, loss, death, and then rebirth once again. When Siddhartha Gautama was born, his arrival did not pass unnoticed. The Shakya clan was noble, disciplined, proud of its lineage, and this child was born into its royal heart. His mother, Queen Maya, was known for her grace and purity. According to tradition, on the night before his birth, she dreamed of a white elephant entering her side. The elephant was calm, radiant, majestic. Wise men interpreted the dream as a sign, not of ordinary greatness, but of destiny, of a being unlike any other. Siddhartha was born in the gardens of Lumbini, far from palace walls, surrounded by nature, trees, flowers, open sky. It is said that the earth itself responded to his birth, that the moment carried a quiet stillness. Whether legend or symbolism, the meaning remains clear. This child belonged not only to a kingdom, but to something far greater. Soon after his birth, a sage named Asita was invited to see the child. He examined Siddhartha carefully, silently, for a long time. Then tears filled his eyes, not tears of sadness, but of recognition. Asita saw what others could not yet see. He foretold that the child would grow to become one of two things: either a great universal monarch, a ruler of men and lands, or a fully awakened being, a spiritual teacher who would free countless beings from suffering. This prophecy planted fear in the heart of King Suddhodana. He wanted a son who would rule, not a son who would renounce everything. The idea that Siddhartha might abandon the throne terrified him. So the king made a decision at his mind. He would control destiny. He would shape his son's world. He would protect him from truth itself. From that moment on, Siddhartha's life was carefully designed. Every detail was controlled. Every influence filtered. Pain was hidden. Suffering erased from sight. The king ordered that nothing unpleasant should ever reach his son. No illness, no aging, no death. Even the very words were avoided. The palace became more than a home. It became a shield, a cocoon, a golden prison built with love and fear. As Siddhartha grew, the palace grew with him. Gardens expanded. Halls grew more ornate. Walls rose higher. The world inside was artificial, yet beautiful. Flowers bloomed all year. Music never stopped. Water flowed through stone fountains. Perfume filled the air. Servants moved silently. Everything existed to please the senses. Everything existed to distract the mind. From the outside, Siddhartha's life appeared perfect. He lacked nothing: comfort, education, entertainment, respect. Yet perfection can be deceptive, because when nothing challenges you, nothing awakens you. And slowly, quietly, something inside Siddhartha began to feel wrong. He was intelligent, observant, sensitive. Even as a child, he noticed subtle things. Moments when joy faded too quickly. Moments when laughter felt empty. Moments when pleasure did not satisfy. He began to sense that happiness was fragile, temporary, like mist under the morning sun. Siddhartha asked questions, not dangerous ones, not yet, but thoughtful ones. Questions about life, about meaning, about what lay beyond the palace walls. Each time he was gently redirected, distracted, entertained, protected. The answers he received were polished, safe, incomplete, and so the questions remained. The more the king tried to protect him from suffering, the more Siddhartha sensed its presence, like a shadow he could not see directly, but could feel. Something unseen was missing from his understanding of life. Something essential, something real. As years passed, Siddhartha matured into a young man, tall, graceful, respected, trained in leadership and warfare, educated in philosophy and poetry, prepared for a future as king. But inside, the distance between appearance and truth grew wider. The palace no longer felt like protection. It felt like separation, a place removed from life itself. King Suddhodana believed he had succeeded. His son smiled. His son obeyed. His son seemed content. But contentment is not peace. and silence is not understanding. Behind the palace walls, destiny was waiting, patient, unavoidable, and the first cracks in the golden cage were already forming. As Siddhartha entered adulthood, the palace reached the height of its splendor. Festivals followed one another without pause. Music echoed through the halls day and night. Dancers moved beneath hanging lamps of gold and silk. Every desire was anticipated before it could even be spoken. From the outside, the prince appeared to live a life beyond envy, a life of beauty, a life of ease, a life untouched by pain. To ensure that his son remained bound to the world, King Suddhodana arranged Siddhartha's marriage. He chose Princess Yasodhara, a woman known not only for her beauty, but for her intelligence, kindness, and calm presence. She was gentle, thoughtful, attentive, and deeply human. Their union was celebrated with grandeur. Feasts lasted for days. Blessings were spoken by priests. Music filled the city. For a moment it seemed that destiny itself had been satisfied. For a time, Siddhartha believed it. He believed that love might be enough, that companionship could quiet the questions within him, that happiness could be built from shared moments and affection. Yasodhara brought warmth into his life. She listened. She understood more than she spoke. With her, Siddhartha felt grounded, present, alive in ways he had not felt before. Soon a child was born, a son. They named him Rahula. The name carried meaning. It meant fetter, a chain, a bond that ties one to the world. To King Suddhodana, the name was perfect, a symbol of attachment, a final anchor to keep his son from ever leaving. Surely now Siddhartha would remain, a husband, a father, a future king. And yet something unexpected happened. Instead of silencing Siddhartha's questions, fatherhood deepened them. When he looked at his son, he felt love, pure, overwhelming. But alongside that love came fear. Fear of loss, fear of impermanence, fear of suffering he could not prevent. For the first time, Siddhartha truly understood attachment, and he sensed its weight. He began to see that everything he loved could be taken away. That joy carried the seed of sorrow. That happiness built on conditions was fragile, temporary, unreliable. The palace had taught him comfort, but it had not taught him truth. At night, Siddhartha walked through silent corridors while others slept. He watched his wife and child breathe softly in their sleep. He felt gratitude and guilt, love, and sorrow. How could he protect them from suffering if he did not understand it himself? The celebrations around him now felt distant. Music faded into noise. Laughter sounded hollow. Luxury felt heavy. The palace no longer felt like a home. It felt like a barrier, a place carefully designed to keep reality out and him in. Outside the palace walls, life continued unseen. People were born. People aged. People fell ill. People died. The prince knew this in theory, but theory was no longer enough. Something inside him demanded experience, direct knowledge, truth without decoration. Siddhartha began to feel confined, not by walls of stone, but by ignorance, by the absence of understanding. He realized that his life had been shaped by avoidance, by distraction, by the constant denial of life's darker truths. And he sensed that no amount of comfort could fill that void. The questions grew louder. Why do we suffer? Why does everything we love change? Why are we born only to lose? Is there something beyond pleasure and pain? Beyond gain and loss? Beyond life and death? King Suddhodana noticed the change. The smiles came less often. The prince grew quieter, more distant. The king responded as he always had. More entertainment, more luxury, more distraction. But distraction cannot silence truth. It only delays it. The golden cage was beginning to crack, not from the outside, but from within, and Siddhartha could feel it. A pull, a calling, something waiting beyond the palace walls, something he could no longer ignore. One evening, as the sun set behind the palace towers, Siddhartha stood alone. He looked out toward the distant horizon, toward a world he had never seen, toward a truth he had never touched. And for the first time, he spoke the thought aloud, quietly, almost as a whisper. He wanted to leave the palace, just once, to see the world beyond the walls, to understand life as it truly was, not as it had been carefully presented to him, but as it actually existed. That single desire marked the end of innocence and the beginning of awakening. Though Siddhartha did not yet know it, everything was about to change.